Hey,
All good?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Pritesh.
Hi, I'm Charlie.
Charlie is a career coach and an experienced marketing recruiter who recently helped me in figuring out what I want to do with my career.
And Pritesh is an experienced marketing professional who's had a well-refined approach to figuring out what he wants from his career and a robust approach to getting there. And now moving on to the interview phase, I felt, Pritesh, that you really focused on interview preparation and doing that part really well. Do you want to just share with people some of your tips and I guess your process? I think it would be really helpful.
Yeah, interviews are more than a Q&A for me. On paper, you think you're a good fit, but you've got to meet the people that you're going to work with. You've got to understand as much as you can from an interview, and it can't just be selling yourself. It's got to be, you've got to extract something out of that conversation. I still find it fascinating that we make such big choices in our careers with only like an hour or two speaking to somebody, right? So
Yeah.
when you get to this stage of interview, for me, it's the confidence comes from knowledge. There are so many things that are available to us, more than just the job spec. I use firstly the job spec to dissect it. Someone wrote that job spec for a purpose. It's not just some key requirements. Those specific words, keywords, are the language they're using. They are the things that they're looking for. You want to be picking that up. I dissect and highlight and go, okay, so what experience do I have around this word? They want campaigns. Okay, what campaigns can I talk about? Because I want to show them that I'm a good fit. The recruiter knew the company inside out as his client, so he's equally invested in me getting this role. I spent time with him saying, what do you know about the company? What do you know about the culture? What's happened in the last 12 months? Why are they in this position? And extracting information that I wouldn't find on paper. Sometimes, I've found that I've got ex-colleagues in the company. So I speak to them and say, how are you finding it? How are the company values? Sometimes companies sell themselves well externally, but then you get into the day-to-day and it's a very different ballgame. So is there someone you can speak to that can help? And then everything that's online. So websites, YouTube, social media channels, and all of those different tactics together make you go into the conversation fully prepared. And then the last bit of advice is if you've got to the stage where you're applying for a role, you've got to put yourself in already doing that role. So the conversations that you have are the ones that you would be having once you're inside. That changes how they see you because you're saying, I think we as a team can do this. I think we as a company should think about this. I think me in this role can help do this. That tactic of living the role is really important. And that helps you see whether it feels right as well. There are a few of the things that I go into preparing at quite a detailed level.
I've had people before that I've been helping to prepare for interview, and you can tell that they're just going to go in and try and wing it, basically. And more often than not, they kind of fall flat on their face. To add to what you said there, remember that the interview is a two-way thing. You're going to commit 5-10 years of your valuable career to that organization. They're going to be paying you to perform a service. So make sure that you're thinking about who am I going to be sitting in front of and what's the appropriate line of questioning for that individual. So as an example, if the first stage interview is with an HR manager, they're likely to be sticking quite strictly to the script. So look at the experiences and the competencies within the interview, within the job description, and make sure you've got good stories and examples across each bullet point. But know what is on the radar for an HR manager at the moment. So if you think about, culture, wellness, staff retention, and have some really good questions prepared, knowing that that's going to trigger in a positive way the person sitting opposite you, and that everyone likes to talk. So if they come away from the interview feeling like they were able to get across some of the work that they're doing, some of the strategies they're putting in place, they're going to go away feeling really good about that interview. Those questions are going to be very different to when you're sitting in front of the commercial director or the CEO, where obviously your questions are going to be at probably a more strategic level. And again, you're engaging that person in a conversation that they're having in the boardroom. As you said, this person almost feels like they're already in the organization. They're kind of challenging me, asking the right questions. And that says so much about someone, as opposed to just someone coming in and just rattling off stories about themselves. And then no time for questions. Actually, a couple of very top line questions come out. And it's like, well, where's the interest in us as an organization? So I think that's a definite thing to consider.
from interviewing myself. You get to the end of an interview where you know, as an interviewer, you carve out a bit of time, and then you say, have you got any questions? And they go, no. And it just kills the whole vibe of the interview. Even if
Yeah.
it was good up to that point, it feels like you said, it's a one-way street. And so, you know, having a couple of good questions up your sleeve leave the whole thing on a high. So yeah, I think it's a really good thing to do. Thanks for watching. To connect with Charlie at Fay and Partners, head over to fayandpartners.com.
And to connect to Pritesh, find him at pchohan.com.